Traders, welcome back to the Master Your Trading Mindset movement. If it's the first time checking into this movement, let me give you a little bit of a recap of what this is all about. Every day for 30 days, I'm doing a video a day through December. And we're doing these videos specifically to help each and every single one of you master your trading mindset. Everybody says how important trading, psychology is in trading. People even say that's 90% of your success as a trader. But I'm afraid a lot of people don't put the time, energy, or effort into empowering that side of their trading. And what I wanted to do over these 30 days is give you the cutting edge education, tools and insights, and accountability to ensure that over these 30 days, you're focused on empowering your trading psychology. So heading into 2023, you've got such a great foundation mentally that you can do amazing things in your trading, overcome a lot of the challenges that you have, start to scale up and start to do really cool things in your trading. I know from what I've seen in my own journey and working now with a lot of traders, having traders come through my 12-week program, the moment they empower their psychology, the view on themselves and on the market shifts, and they're in a much better, more confident position to scale up and do really cool things with their trading. Now, the only thing I ask from you guys and girls is if you could please share these lectures with those you know will benefit from them, share them on your social media, like, comment, subscribe, do all those types of things so we can get this movement out there. You can help me grow. We can get people, get an awareness out there on the importance of empowering their psychology and mastering your trading mindset. Anyway, without further ado, we're talking all about pride and narcissism today. Now, this title may be a little bit, you may be a little bit unsure of what we're going to speak about. Now, let me give you a little bit of a recap. Pride, remember, if you puff yourself up as a trader and you think you know better than the market, you're going to put yourself in your mind above the market. And the narcissistic approach is being narcissistic to the market, saying, you know what, I know better than you. Now, this may not be a conscious thought process, but how many times have you projected onto the market a setup that just was low quality, didn't align, didn't have an edge, but you still projected onto the market anyway? That is a narcissistic approach towards the market. You're puffing yourself up, you're thinking you know better than the market unconsciously. You're projecting onto the market, ignoring the risks, ignoring the cues, ignoring what the market's communicating to you. That's an indication of a pride being a narcissistic compensation of pride in your mind, and it's very unconscious. It's a very quiet thought process. A lot of you may not think yourself as narcissistic or prideful, but anytime we go off and we project onto the market, that is a narcissistic compensation. I'm going to dive into this a little bit more. It's such an important concept to understand as a trader. It's such an important thing to have a grasp on as a trader, and even in general life as a human being. If you're in business or in relationships, these are such important dynamics going on in your mind that you must understand if you want to have any level of self-control and self-regulation and mastery in any area of your life. So let's get into it. The problem here, like I mentioned just before, traders think they know better than the market. Now, you may not be going up to the market every day and consciously in your mind saying, I know better than you and I'm better than the market, but it's a very quiet thought process at the back of your mind. Chances are if you're not finding yourself having consistent profitability, you're falling into this thought process of thinking you know better than the market. The best traders I've seen are very humble to the market. They respect the market, they're listening to the market, and they're only executing if the market aligns with their plan. That's why they know majority of the time they're better off sitting on their hands, being patient, because they know the true risks of the market and they're extremely humble to it. So the market is never wrong, it needs to be respected. And that is almost an affirmation that you can put into your trading plan of the market needs to be respected. It truly needs to be respected, and it's never wrong. And you know, the market isn't to blame. The only time we think we're blaming the market is when we project unrealistic expectations onto it and we think the market should be doing something. We ultimately get humbled. That's where the anger comes from. That's where the emotional volatilities come from. But truth be told, the market's never wrong. And that must be respected. However, traders think they know better. And the reason I put think in inverted quotations here, or whatever it is because you may not be consciously thinking this. It may just be a very quiet thought process at the back of your mind that, you know what, I think I know what's going to happen next in the market. And we think we know better and we project onto the market. The market's going to do this. I'm going to take a trade based on that. That's an indication of projection onto the market, thinking you know better. ultimately leaving those traders humbled. Why? Because the market's never wrong. It needs to be respected. Okay, so I really want to break down this concept of human behavior, what's happening in psychology here, to help you understand why we project onto the market, why we think sometimes we know better than the market. And recap, this is your mind, the Cartesian plane of your mind. If you haven't seen the previous videos, make sure you check those out first. But you got the positive above, you got the negative below. Past, memory, future, imagination. Now, the past mirrors forward into the future, and the upper, if you're consciously aware of the positives in that moment, you're unconscious of the negatives. If you're conscious of the negatives, you're unconscious of the positives. Your emotions are giving you feedback of that incomplete awareness to go back and have a look at the other side of the picture. Now, if in the moment or in the market we take a trade, we take a win, and we think we did something good there, and we're elated and we're feeling the pleasure of the win and we're being rewarded with profits, if in that moment we puff ourselves up into a state of pride, what's going to happen if we go to extreme states of pride of thinking we're doing really well on the market and we're great traders, is we're going to have a narcissistic compensation. This is what I'm talking about when we talk about projection. Now, the more extreme the pride, the more extreme the narcissistic projection. So there may be gradations of this where you feel slight amounts of pride within yourself, elation within yourself over a positive win in the past in your perception. And you may have a compensation, a very slight projection onto the market. So there are different degrees of the pride and narcissism, but you can be certain that any pride is going to be compensated to future narcissism. Okay? So what's happening in our mind is if we go through a journey or even a winning streak as a trader, and we've accumulated all these things we perceive to have done that are very positive, and we build up pride within ourselves, we're going to, in our mind, put ourselves above the market. We're going to think we know better than the market, and then we're going to project low quality setups onto the market. That's the narcissistic compensation, the narcissistic projection onto the market. Now, the market's never wrong, and the market needs to be respected, it needs to be listened to, because whenever we project onto the market, we're just going to get humbled, okay? I hope that makes sense. So it's really important to understand that the projection, the thinking we know better, I'm going to project my ideas onto the market, comes from the accumulation of pride, usually after winning streaks. And this is probably why, if you look back in your journey, the most painful losses and the biggest losses come from after your winning streaks. That's what the boom and bust cycle is. And it comes from not being able to self-regulate and self-manage your pride and needing the market to come in and do it for you. The market, hubris, pride always gets humbled. Now, the question here is, are you going to do that yourself? Are you going to self-regulate with questions? Or are you going to make it so extreme that the market needs to do it for you through humbling your pride? So the solutions we're going to put in place here are to help you self-regulate so the market doesn't need to do that for you. Self-regulation after trades is crucial. Every win, and you perceive yourself going into a state of pride, you need to have questions there to ground yourself, to get back to a state of equilibrium, to get back to your trading plan, to get back to your processes. After every loss, you need to have a set of questions to bring yourself back up to a state of equilibrium so you get back to your trading plan. Self-regulation is one of the key characteristics of the most successful traders I've seen out there. So this is crucial, because if we don't do it, the market's going to have to do it for us. If we don't learn how to manage and humble ourselves and self-regulate our pride, the market's going to humble us through extreme losses. Traders must learn how to ground themselves, otherwise they will be humbled by the market. That doesn't need further explanation. You just need to go back through your life and see the times you've had the most painful, most traumatic, most humbling circumstances as a trader have most definitely come from the times you were most elated and puffed up and thinking you were better. You had a superiority complex that just got humbled by the market. Now, the quality question you want to be asking yourself when you get into a state of pride to lower the probability of projection onto the market is, you're proud over certain actions in the market. Maybe you've secured a funded account. Maybe you've hit a 10% month. Maybe you've banked an extremely profitable trade. I know I've spoken about this trader I know who hit a $100,000 trade, a six-figure trade. Okay, now in that moment, that trader has a choice to be proud, or they have the choice to be aware of the drawbacks, the risks and disadvantages. This trader was very aware. They already knew the disadvantages. They already knew the drawbacks. They already knew all the work that went into that. So they weren't elated. They weren't in a state of pride. And as a result, they weren't susceptible to then thinking they know better than the market, projecting low quality setups and then giving that profit back. So it's on you. This trader was extremely aware. They were a great trader. They knew how to self-regulate. And if they didn't, the market would have done it for them. That's one thing you can be certain of. So quality questions you want to be asking yourself, and I talk about these in detail in the 12-week program. What are the drawbacks of my actions? What are the risks of my actions? What are the disservices? Some of the most common drawbacks of winning is that it puffs you up and it blinds you and it makes you think you already know. It stunts your growth, right? You're less open, you're less teachable, you're less willing to learn and gather data and continue to go to the next level. So thinking you're successful is very much what's going to block you from continuing to learn, from continuing to refine, from continuing to expand your vision for who you are as a trader and continue to work towards that. Usually the traders who think they're successful, who've had very profitable months, are those who are on the way down. They're going to get humbled. Okay, so this is why it's essential as a trader to keep self-regulated, never to think yourself as a success or a failure, but to keep yourself balanced, keep your vision open and continue to learn and continue to develop. I remember a story one of my very first coaches taught me was his boss, right? He was working at a prop firm at the time. His boss had $1 million year as a trader and made an enormous amount of money. And he never outperformed that. After that year, he got so complacent with doing the work because he thought he was so successful that the next 2 to 3 years were complete disasters for his trading. So you never want to let yourself blind yourself thinking that you're successful or puffing yourself into this state of pride, because ultimately it's going to get humbled. Self-regulating questions, quality questions will constantly keep you in check to ensure that you're consistently profitable. There are so many examples of this. Great athletes, they need to keep themselves balanced, they need to keep themselves poised. This is probably one of the most common principles throughout performance. It's understanding that whenever you puff yourself up, you need to have questions to ground yourself and keep yourself grounded, keep yourself process-based and thinking about what's next. Keep yourself thinking about the plan, the process. This is a key characteristic of successful traders. So use these solutions to help manage pride and as a result, help manage narcissistic projection. In summary, the market's never wrong, it needs to be respected. Not managing pride will lead to the projection onto the market, a narcissistic projection onto the market. Traders must learn how to ground themselves, otherwise they will be grounded by the market, they'll be humbled by the market. Okay, this is such a crucial principle to understand. If you resonate with this, please share it with those who need to hear this message. Let's get this Master Your Trading Mindset movement out. Tune in for tomorrow. We're talking about such a crucial topic tomorrow on shame and guilt, to make sure you feel worthy of making money, because oftentimes it's the unconscious shame and guilt that push profits away from you. So check in tomorrow. If you resonate with this, make sure you check out the free trial to the 12-week program. We've got a link in the description below. Check that out. But I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow for the next day of the Master Your Trading Mindset movement.